Hello everyone, I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Eric.
And welcome to day 5 of Marvel Mania. Today, we're tackling Blade. We're going to watch and talk about Blade, and big 5-year gap between the last Marvel movie that was not released in theaters and this. For most of the universe, there's not a gap. This is like the first thing.
And we'll never get a gap again.
People don't think about Howard the Duck, and when they do, they don't think of it necessarily as a Marvel thing. People don't think about the 1990 Captain America movie. They certainly don't think about, or if they think about the Fantastic Four movie, it's this weird elusive thing that you can't even get and watch.
Yeah.
That's got a reputation. I don't think most people have seen it.
Yeah.
Like, even though you can, I think most people probably have not sat down and seen, even like geeks like us that are into this stuff. Yeah. So this is where the onslaught, or what I used to call the onslaught in the 2000s, begins. And you have, to some degree, Blade to thank for where we are now.
It's the 1-2 punch of Blade X-Men.
Yeah, I mean, X-Men really solidifies it, and then Spider-Man clenches it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's what we're watching today. I don't know how much I'm gonna have to say about this movie and what this is gonna be like because I haven't seen this in a long time, and this is not a movie I know real well. I have seen it exactly once and for the rewind.
I probably know 2 and 3 better. 3 mostly because, like, I've complained about 3 so much. Like, I explained to you everything wrong with 3, I think, before you ever saw 3.
Yeah.
And my theories on what's wrong with 3. It's one I go back to. Or I haven't gone back to the Blade films in general in a while. Maybe 2, like I said last time, but
it'll be really fun to watch again. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen this film.
But I hope you guys enjoy watching it with us, because I can't promise how much I'm even going to talk during this. I might just sit here and watch it and post a video. It's all you, Eric.
Well, we'll have things to say just because it's David Goyer, and there's so many Goyerisms in it.
Yeah, I'm sure I will notice lines where I'm like, oh, that's a Goyer line. Yeah, I bet I'll have more things to say.
Some monkey fighters are always trying to ice skate uphill.
We've had a... That's great. Wow, so you do remember things about this movie.
Oh, that's one of my favorite lines. It's nonsense.
Today's
it's not monkey
commentary is brought to you by Tostitos again. Is this what you were eating last time, or was
no?
It?
I was
you were eating Lay's. Yeah, this Tostitos.
And I have
party size. I'm not going to eat all these.
Of a giant Hershey's Kiss that I got for Christmas.
Yeah, in your stocking.
You know, I didn't
Santa Claus.
I didn't show this in the. Well, that's not that much left. I didn't show this in the what I got for Christmas from you, but I got this.
Yeah. My 6-year-old does not believe in Santa Claus.
Nope.
He knows that there is no Santa Claus. He figured it out one day and asked my wife point blank. And so now I don't even have to like pretend like there's Santa Claus, because she couldn't lie to him. And yeah, so like he doesn't even think Santa Claus gave Eric that giant Hershey Kiss.
Well,
are you gonna eat half that before we even start? Half the rest of it?
Well, I went to bite it, and then like pieces started falling. I was like, oh no, I got it.
It looked like a spiritual experience. Anyway, so we're gonna go ahead and get started here.
About myself.
If you want to watch it with us, and I would suggest you do.
Yeah, with the regular commentaries, it's totally fine. With these, I think we should recommend.
This is a lot more of watching it with us, and like a regular commentary, right? Like a regular
Which is weird, because we're on camera for this, but for the other ones we're not.
That's true.
It's much easier to watch the other ones.
Yeah, well, you know, we're just on a camera on the off chance that you have like 2 screens set up.
We keep doing things with our hands and things.
Yeah.
Like, you can't see this giant Hershey's Kiss.
Yeah, in other words, we made this as obnoxious as humanly possible. Anyway, so
counterintuitive.
If you're going to watch it with us, which I suggest you do,
Warner Brothers produce this series?
You know, I'm not gonna say. I will because there were people who thought I was paid off by Marvel
Man of Steel review?
to give the DC movies bad reviews. So you know what? I'm not even gonna tell you. It's possible that could have happened. That did not happen. Anyway, so if you want to watch it with us, and I suggest you do, get it to timestamp 0, and get ready to press play whenever I say now. Your DVD, your Blu-ray, however you want to watch it. Here we go. Are you ready, sir? It's time for Wesley Snipes in Blade. Everybody please press play right now.
You froze for a second. You're probably gonna be a couple seconds out of the click with us.
Cloud of blood. You know, we don't do a lot with the New Line logo. This is probably... Maybe it's been green for a Ninja Turtles thing before, but that's...
I'm sure I said this in the Ninja Turtles comedy from like 4 years ago.
The comedy?
Commentary.
We made a comedy all about Ninja Turtles.
But when I was a kid, I thought
was
I thought the New Line logo was a house.
Yeah, you didn't realize that it was...
Film.
Mm-hmm. Does this not... Is this just really subtle soundtrack right now? Or is there, like...
There should be sound right now.
Yeah, there should. Shit, what's going on here?
If you two are experiencing audio problems... Oh, no, it's just real quiet.
It's just real quiet. Yep, that's what I thought. Okay, it's good. Everything's good. No need to send the paramedics. Well, maybe for her. Well, the paramedics are there. So, do you think this contributed very much at all to the vampire craze
Yes.
that we had right around there? Or is this more of a product
No, this absolutely
of
does.
it? Because...
You do not have Underworld without this movie.
No, that's fair. Yeah,
This is the genesis of the
But this is happening...
science vampire.
But we're already at, like, Season 3 Buffy at this point. So, I mean, like, vampires are in.
But this is the science vampires. This is the vampires as a virus. Not saying this is the first thing to do that. This popularizes.
You don't get Daybreakers without this. I mean, that's a lot later, but...
Yeah. Yeah, no, the idea of, like, vampires as, like, a virus and it's all scientific and stuff, and we're getting rid of silly things like crosses and stuff like that, I think this is hugely responsible for that.
I like this opening title sequence okay. It was in the running for my top 10.
Oh, yeah, you would never remember that Donald Logue's in this.
That's right.
You're going to get to see Donald Logue.
I didn't even know who that was
for the first time
when I
again.
saw this. Yep. Mm-hmm. For the last first
She's
time.
also really famous. Kind of.
She's kind of really famous?
She's a porn star.
Oh, really?
And she's famous for having... her name's Tracy Lords.
Mm-hmm.
She's famous for having done the majority of her adult filmography underage. She lied and said she was of age.
Wow.
I believe.
Interesting.
Yep.
Is she... I almost said, is she still working? Is she still acting, not in adult films?
She's in Zack and Miri Make a Porno.
She looks... Of course she is. She looks a little bit like the woman from Spawn. That's obviously not her, but she in the face she looks a little bit like... I'm talking about Jessica Priest.
Mm-hmm.
Stylistically, this movie looks a little bit like The Matrix, and of course, it's just before that.
Yep. And we have bullet time in this as well.
This soundtrack here, this techno stuff, is all over The Matrix.
Mm.
And this party looks a little bit like the.
It's real 90s. There he is.
There's Donald Logue. Yeah, boy, it's going to be interesting to see him younger and in another role.
And we'll see him again. He's in Ghost Rider.
That's right. Yeah. He weirdly kind of disappears for me in roles, even though he's kind of always doing the same thing. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I've
Does
always
he get
liked
cast in like really different kinds of parts, but he's doing the same thing?
He's always like the best friend.
What is it? Yeah.
Like even this, he's just Frost's best friend.
His Harvey Bullock is like the reason to watch Gotham.
Absolutely.
And he's the most consistent thing in that show. Whenever that show is at its worst, he is always great.
Yep. Paul Rebell.
And his writing, the writing for his character tends to be good, even in bad episodes.
Yep. Yeah, all of the writers have
now,
his voice.
What you can consider, the standards for a bad episode of Gotham is anyone's best guess.
Yep. That should be coming back at some point.
Yeah.
I'm not a rave guy,
Oh.
but I wouldn't mind just having lights on the side of my head. That looks pretty fun. The DJ's got just
a blind.
It
people
just looks
with?
like flashlights.
What is
on
the
the
point
side
of it?
his
You
head.
wouldn't even be able to see that you have them.
Have you ever heard of?
Well, I guess it would be
Silent
like headlights, right?
There he is. There's Deacon Frost. Quite
Deacon
different
Frost.
from the comic book version of Deacon Frost, who's much more. He's like an old man.
And of course, you know things about these characters.
I do a little bit. Doom of Dracula is something I've always wanted to read, but financially has been beyond my grasp.
Is this the only series of movies that Marv Wolfman's name is on?
He creates the Punisher, doesn't he? No, that's Jerry Conway.
I'm really enjoying this party because I have no idea that I'm about to get blood raining down on me and vampires murdering me and everyone around me.
But yeah,
spoiler alert!
In the comics, Deacon Frost is a much more... There he is. Don't you just want
that is awesome.
Yeah.
I wish we had the foresight to put those on the sides of our heads for this commentary. That would have been the best. Yay! Blood raining down!
So this is... I think this whole movie is kind of a weird thing. In that this is a movie that is trying desperately to be hip and cool, and it just happens
edgy.
to actually be hip and cool.
You think that's what
when
happens?
It comes out? Yeah.
It was very much a right place, right time kind of movie.
Yeah.
Just like The Matrix was.
If this movie came out 5 years later, it doesn't.
Silly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although I don't know that it feels that silly now, but like I know that it's a product of its time, and like I'm putting myself in the time looking at it.
Right.
I don't know.
And this is all very David Goyer.
And I was in junior high when this came out. So
I think
just
David Goyer's a Rave guy.
doesn't feel that long ago. Sorry, what?
I think David Goyer's a Rave guy. Like, he's covered in tattoos. Like, I bet in his youth,
is he?
This is what he does.
I've honestly never seen
Oh, yeah,
an
no,
interview with him.
he has, like, the tattoo sleeves.
This is... One of the things this does for comic movies is it shows us that you can do the really stylized comic book stuff on screen and it not seem goofy in the context. He has no blood on him.
No.
And that does not make sense, but it's super cool.
Yeah.
I love that.
You know what else
ways
doesn't make
in
sense,
which
but it is
this
cool?
movie is not realistic is part of what makes it awesome.
Yeah. What else makes it super cool is...
wow, Wesley Snipes is really young. I mean, that's an obvious thing to say, but...
The blood spigots, were going with the music, and then, the second blade shows up, they're just dripping now? They're not, spraying.
Yeah, he conveniently walks in just as they run out of blood.
Yeah.
Or someone turned them off because he came in.
Yeah, which seems to be it seems like they were, in tune with the music.
Yeah.
And then it...
I've talked about this before, but this movie was too violent for me when it came out.
It is for me, too, and I will tell you the exact scene when we get to it.
This was too much. I do not know why. I guess I had just never seen this much blood. Like, I'm looking at this now,
yeah.
and it's nothing, but that's because we've gotten so desensitized to violence and a lot of blood and stuff, and, I mean, I wasn't especially sheltered. I watched a few horror films growing up. I mean, I saw Child's Play when I was probably 10 or 11.
Yeah.
And that gets gruesome.
So
especially the sequel. Which
it
I
is
also
not
saw
that I sit down and watch this movie.
I don't know what it was about this.
And then I get to a scene.
Yeah.
It is my dad is watching this on TV, and I come in and start watching it with him, and then I'm immediately I can't handle this at a certain scene.
Yeah.
There's also another thing that's like a weird memory thing that I'll get to when we get to a scene from watching this as a child. I just want flashlights on my head.
It's so cool. Wow, Donald Logue, you've lost a lot of weight. I mean, not gained it yet.
There's a real sense of it's a thing that David Goyer does, and I don't know if it ever works outside this franchise, but intentionally cool lines. And a lot of times in David Goyer scripts, those feel real groany, but that's
and
the
forced.
tone of this movie.
Yeah. He's maybe just right for this kind of material.
Yeah.
And I think that's why maybe he was better for Constantine than he has been for
that
some other
being said,
things.
his horror movies are terrible.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, he directed those too, or at least one of them.
No one can deny how cool that thing is.
No, it's super cool.
And they are outlawed in the state of Kansas.
Because it's a throwing star?
You can't have those. I'm just assuming.
Okay.
That they are outlawed in the state of Kansas.
There's a super cool...
I should just get a sign that I hold up that says I'm making a joke now.
Well, I didn't know if you were making an assumption because it was a throwing star.
Yeah. No, that was just a reference I was making to it. See, I'm trying to create some
I understand.
continuity between our... I'm trying to...
Look. Sometimes I'm going to stumble and I'm going to fall, but one day I will join you in the sun.
Why do we fall, Eric?
Those are both David Goyer lines.
They are. They are. But yeah, I wanted to reward people for sticking with us.
Yeah.
Anybody that's
By the
watching all
time
of these,
you get to 20, you have to have seen the previous ones. There's going to be such a tight continuity.
Yeah, I'm sorry, there's nothing we can do. We cannot recap every time.
Yeah, there will be running gags through these.
When Ant-Man suddenly shows up, we will not have the time to go back and explain to you what Ant-Man is.
There's a really cool weapon in the second one that a friend of mine used to own, and is the most dangerous prop to own. It's a knife on a metal string that's like a bungee cord, and it's real cool. But in real life, if you fire it, there is a risk of it like bungeeing back at you.
No, no.
Yeah, but it's super cool.
Look at the way his coat billows.
Yeah, it's cool. That's the way I want my coat to billow.
This is a wonderful example of establishing tone right away and letting you know just what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah.
It's smart to have that much blood at the beginning, and that's a really cool way to contrive a scene that has that much blood. It's not that we've stabbed 100 people and it's flying everywhere. We came up with a kind of believable reason to have that much blood all over a scene, but it informs you. You know when you see that, even though you saw the blood coming from the spigots, this will be a movie where heads will be lobbed off and things will go through people.
Yeah.
And you're ready for that.
There's a movie that comes out a little bit after this.
And also it's a good, I mean, it's a movie about blood, so...
Yeah. There's a movie a little bit after this called
We just saw
Triple X
blood
with Vin
platelets on
Diesel.
screen. That's important.
That is also that, like, real hip, young, too cool for school kind of a thing.
Yeah.
It does not work there. It works here. I remember it working here. Maybe we'll watch this movie and be like, oh no, this movie feels like a 14-year-old wrote
So
it.
far, so good.
I disagree with this scene.
What does the scene say?
Okay, so the idea of this scene is that it's supposed to feel like a medical drama.
Oh.
And, like, you're supposed to get sucked in and, like, oh, I'm watching, like, a relationship thing, and then a monster shows up.
You have to open with that.
You have to open with that. You can't open with the blood spigots if you're going to do this scene.
That's right.
Because we stay in this scene for a long time,
So,
and that only works as the opening
so
scene.
it's almost like a double start. But this movie feels real confident right out the gate.
Yeah. And just because I don't think the director
because there's
had done
nothing
a lot
like it before this, really.
Yeah.
I mean, you can point to some influences, but
Certainly some anime stuff.
I'm not saying it's wholly original or anything.
We're doing more of this in anime. The like action horror thing.
You're right. This feels like we've adapted some animation ideas
Yeah, yeah.
to live action.
This
And
scene
if
is still
Blade
going.
was a bigger film, I don't know that The Matrix would have been as big of a film.
You might be right.
I mean, obviously they're about different things.
Yeah.
They are both science fiction things. Because as you say, these are not mystical vampires.
Yep.
And I'm sure that's not the first time that's done, but it's probably the first time a lot of people saw it.
Well, it's part of the reason I want to try the Blade anime, because
Yeah.
that feels like a natural fit.
That's a really good point. When this came out, and I didn't get to see it right when it came out. I said this was too much for me when it came out. It was too much for me when I finally saw it, which was like a year or two after.
I see it on HBO that first time I see those couple of scenes. So that's probably maybe a year after.
But it was really this makeup looks wonderful.
Yeah.
On this vampire. Yeah, these
And this is still Donald Logue.
These goofy one-liners. Oh wow, it is cool. These goofy one-liners do not feel goofy.
No.
It's really cool.
And
It's real Terminator.
and moments like this,
And it hits the ground running.
moments like this are why this movie works and Underworld doesn't. Underworld is too self-serious and it becomes
Yeah,
really boring.
you're right. It takes itself way too seriously.
This movie's able to
It
have fun.
looks great,
Oh,
and
it does.
she is wonderful. But I'm
and I
bored
really
out of
like
my
the bad guy
gourd
in that
watching
first
that.
movie. The werewolf guy, he's cool.
There is something about, I don't know her name, but the actress
Beckinsale.
Wonderworld, is that who that is?
Yeah.
There is something mesmerizing about her eyes.
Mm-hmm. So this is a little weird, right?
What's that?
We're flashing back to a memory that Blade can't possibly have.
Help me out. It's just been too long.
He's flashing back to his mom in the hospital.
Yeah. I probably mentioned that in the review. In the rewind. I can't remember, but
or
I do remember thinking that was strange.
For us, the audience, you remember 2 minutes ago when we did that thing?
And that's the problem with POV in movies a lot, is we cheat with this kind of thing constantly. When you have a movie where when you have a thing where you can just jump to lots of different scenes and we are watching people outside themselves because we're not in prose, sometimes it's really hard to tell what POV you're from. I mean, you're usually from a third-person omniscient, or not even omniscient, because you're not getting in anyone's heads, really, except for when you do with flashbacks and things. It can get really awkward. And so there, if you have a big close-up on a guy's face, and like Eric was saying, and you go back to the mom in the hospital, everything you've ever seen, that is communicating.
That's a flashback.
He's remembering them. Not just not a flashback, because a flashback could be not from his perspective.
Right.
It could be just for us.
It's a memory.
That's not a flashback, that's a memory. It's a memory flash.
I should not have eaten all that chocolate.
You gonna be alright?
I'm gonna be alright.
You gonna make it?
It's hitting me in the belly.
Yeah. Oh, no. Man. I was gonna also hit you in the belly, but
don't do that, not right now.
Okay. Alright. I'll refrain.
Big lump of chocolate just
I'll refrain. It's gonna be hard to hold back, but I will control myself. I will exercise self-discipline. So you say that we should have opened in the hospital, but that's at least not like a pointless scene. Like,
I'm not
he
saying
has to go there, and we have to have seen Donald Logue the vampire, and I want the compliment now, Donald Logue the vampire.
I'm not saying that should have been the opening scene, but the idea of that scene is that you keep going for so long that you think you're in the wrong movie.
See, but you're saying that because you heard someone say that.
I
don't
David
think
Goyer
the
say it on
pacing
the
doesn't work. And that's the thing, is sometimes when you listen to people who have made a movie talk about their movie, it affects the way you're seeing it, where you don't agree with what they claim is the motivation of it. But sometimes if they would just never say anything, or you didn't hear them say it, it wouldn't bother you. And so the movie itself works okay. Like, you said, oh, the scene is still going. That's because you heard him say that. I didn't think that it was paced poorly. Especially compared to the previous scene with the blood spigots, because we spent a lot of time with just credits.
Yeah.
You know, so it's got to continue to build kind of slowly.
Yeah.
So that ends up just being kind of I don't want to say it's like suspenseful, but it's more impactful when Donald Logue breaks in.
Yeah.
We have to live there for a little bit before that happens. You're not really expecting an action scene. You're expecting exposition, and you're getting some exposition because of the blood platelets and stuff.
Right. So, we should mention that, well, I should mention, I don't know if you know this.
Okay.
This is very loosely based on the comic. I don't know if you know this. Blade doesn't have superpowers. His superpower is that if a vampire bites him, it doesn't affect him.
Yep.
That is all he gets. He doesn't have all these powers, and Whistler doesn't exist.
Yeah.
There's this weird thing, and I still don't know how it happened.
Yep. No, I've
this
heard you talk
script
about
exists, and somehow the Spider-Man the Animated Series people see this script and incorporate him into the Blade episodes of the series.
Uh-huh.
But he is created by David Goyer. He exists in this, but this comes out like 4 years later.
It's really weird.
It's
so was this shopped
strange.
around a long time? Did they have a hard time getting it made?
I don't know.
Is that
it's been a while since I've looked into all that.
Because the Spider-Man episodes are like 96, 97.
Yeah.
I was going to say this earlier. When this came out, and like I said, I didn't get to see it right away. I thought it was so surreal that this was the first Marvel Comics character in a big budget movie.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm the only person I know that has ever heard of this character.
It's almost like Guardians.
Yeah. And the reason it works and it starts to kind of help us build to more comic book movies is because people don't know they're looking at a comic book movie.
Yeah.
And then they find out about it and they're like, oh, that's cool. And so then studios are more apt to look at that material.
And much like with Guardians, you're not left with a lot that you can go back to if you liked this movie.
Yeah.
If you go read Blade comics, they are not like this. Not exactly.
I've maybe said this on camera before, but I have a Marvel Encyclopedia, in older one from maybe 10 years ago. And it has at the bottom of each page for a character, like suggested reading, or I think it's like required reading.
Mm-hmm.
And the required reading, have I told you this? The required reading for Blade, the character, is the comic book adaptations of these movies.
That's great. That's great. Also, all of this vampire lore with the houses and the glyphs.
Yeah.
That's all this movie. That is not comic book stuff. David Goyer creates a kind of interesting vampire world that Underworld's gonna riff on real heavy.
And visually looks a lot like this.
Yeah, and there is some of this
Same
stuff
kind of bleak color
in
palette.
a
Same
role-playing
blues and
game
grays.
called Vampire the Masquerade. So again, it's not like this is the first time, but this is the first time we're seeing the stuff in the mainstream.
But it feels like the first time. It feels like the very first time.
This is also
I think you should get a beard like that.
I would love to get a beard like that.
You're not old enough though. You got to be like 85 before you get a beard like that.
I can't wait till I get salt and pepper. Like just some gray in my. I think that looks so cool. I don't want to have white hair. I want to have.
But then when you get there, you're like, oh, it wasn't worth the trade-off of lack of metabolism. I almost said metabolism.
I was gonna say so. This is also very post Anne Rice.
When you say post, do you mean like we're not going back to that as much, or we are going back to that and changing things?
Yeah, it's clearly kind of informed by Anne Rice.
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of Lestat-y, book Lestat-y.
Okay.
These are all the old vampires that are set in their ways, and he's the rock star guy that comes in. He's gonna shake everything up and show them how to do everything wrong.
I really like this kind of vampire master race idea.
Yeah.
That
Well,
we are better than them. We
They
should be
cast
ruling
the
as
perfect
gods.
guy to be the.
I really like that line that Frost has, where he's like, that's Deacon Frost, right?
Yeah, that's Deacon
Where
Frost.
he's like, we shouldn't be making back alley deals with the humans. They're our food.
I can't think of what this guy's name is, but he's scary and everything. He's just a human like scare factory. He's always scared. He's just a really unsettling person. But I can't think what his name is.
And because this is vampirism and this is a genetic thing, there's more of an argument to be made for that master race idea.
Well, and we also do
That we have vampires that are born as vampires.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna say. We do a thing where there's even within vampires there is a class divide of those that are turned into vampires and those that are born vampires.
The pure blood vampires, which is a thing you can't do in mystical vampirism because everyone is turned. Yeah, but a lot of those. Okay, but most mystical vampirism stuff that I've read, everyone that's a vampire is turned into a vampire. Yeah. You wouldn't have half vampires.
I mean, those do exist in things.
Okay.
I don't know if they're the most main. Like that's a big thing in Vampire ID. I mean, that's Japanese, but we also get some of that in the Hammer stuff and some of the later Universal. Like there's a Son of Dracula and things like that.
Yeah. Okay.
That's Alucard. That's where that comes from. Is the Universal Son of Dracula.
But that's weird because that would make Dracula or the Son of Dracula a pure blood vampire, and Dracula himself would not be. Or is he not turned?
Well, I think he might.
Isn't
be
Dracula
with a human? He's like half vampire.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, he's Alucard because he wants to stand for the opposite of everything his father stands for. I don't even know Alucard's Dracula backwards.
No, I know that.
Okay. Oh, that's right. You've seen.
Yeah, I'm aware of that.
You've seen Batman vs.
That's
Dracula.
where I first learned that,
Yeah.
but now I've heard it 100,000 times.
Yeah.
In a lot of, just people talking. Because you and Manos both know the Hammer things, so I have, through osmosis, learned things about.
And Hammer,
that
that's
stuff.
Johnny Alucard.
Weird. So they make it a last name?
Yeah. There's a character named
That
Johnny
staircase
Alucard.
is really cool.
It is. That's his meditating room. It's under the stairs.
We're gonna get to
Harry
watch
Potter.
in this series a whole lot of different kinds of movies,
Yeah.
which is really fun.
We're also gonna get to watch.
We get horror movies, and we get science fiction movies, and pseudo fantasy movies, and
Well, and from here forward, we're going to get to see a real clear
Crime
evolution of special effects.
yeah, of course. And then the really shoddy special effects in movies that were thrown together or not given enough of a budget.
Yeah.
But generally more thrown together because usually there's no excuse.
This is a thing that feels more 90s. The whole samurai aspect.
Uh-huh.
That's real 80s 90s, right? Like that's immediately where we would go, is that like he meditates and he does all. I don't feel like that is the obvious thing to do right now. I'm not saying it's a bad take or the wrong take. I'm just saying I don't think that's something you immediately go to right now.
Well, and we're in a place now where we always have to apologize for ninjas. Have you noticed that? Like anytime ninjas show up, a lot of the time somebody's like, "Wow, I can't believe there are ninjas in the world." Like we always have to acknowledge how unrealistic that is before we do it.
Yeah,
we didn't used to do that. We used to just have ninjas.
Yeah,
and samurais, and et cetera,
yeah,
et cetera.
That's true. Ninjas like vampires. You live in a world of people that can knock buildings over, but you're like, really? Ninjas?
Yeah. That too.
This is a thing that tracks across the 3 films, but kind of fumbles in the 3rd film.
Yeah.
Like what it takes to go through his serum.
I thought you were going to say something about his relationship with Wesker, but...
No, it's not Wesker.
Or what's his name?
It's, Whistler.
Whistler, yeah.
Yeah, Wesker's
That's
Buffy.
another thing. Oh, that's not what I was thinking.
Oh.
I must know that from something else. Anyway.
Oh no, Buffy is Wesley.
So do you just mean... So do you just mean
this is the serum that he takes, and it's real, like...
But it's not as
tough for
hard
him
to
to
deal
go
with
through.
later.
Yeah, and it advances in the second one, but by the time you get to the 3rd one, it is just it's like an asthma tank. We're just like, I'm good.
And of course, that's in the Spider-Man animated series too.
Yeah.
The serum he has to take.
I don't know if that's in the Tomb of Dracula comics. You can't say that to me. So this is what I know Chris Christopherson from. So sometimes it's kind of weird to me that like he has a whole music career, but I know him as an actor.
And you always have to remind me that he has even a music career.
Yeah.
I think when I first saw this, I probably thought that was Jeff Bridges.
He
looks a
wasn't that
little
old,
bit like
guy.
Jeff Bridges.
He wasn't that old yet.
No, that's true.
He also reminds me of that guy in Hulk. I can't think of his name off the top of my head now.
Mr. Crispy. See, I like that Blade is so no nonsense, but
He makes jokes.
Yeah, he's real sarcastic,
Yeah.
and that's a lot of fun. He's got this chip on his shoulder. He's real broody, but he always, really, really dry way where it would be easy for you not to even notice the funny things he says.
Right.
And if you told Blade, stop making jokes, he'd be like, what joke?
Yeah.
That's Blade.
He's kind of like Batman in that way.
That's true, except he's ironic all the time. Nearly
Yeah.
everything that... And even when he's not saying anything, like, ironic or funny or anything, he still talks like he is.
Yeah.
He's not like Batman in that way.
Yeah.
Everything's so melodramatic. We're doing that in the CW superhero shows with Snart and with Rory in Legends of Tomorrow, where they just everything they say is like is with this really silly over the top voice where it's like really dramatic and stagey in a hilarious way, and it can get kind of obnoxious.
Mm-hmm.
But it works here because he doesn't lay it on so thick. Although I like it with Rory because he seems to sometimes be the only person who knows what show he's in.
So we get rid of crosses in this. Which makes sense here.
You can't have them. It would not make sense without mystical vampirism.
Yeah, exactly.
If it's not biblical, crosses don't make sense.
Yeah.
Unless you came up with some scientific... I don't know how that would work. If you take a thing that's like upright like this, and then you put a horizontal thing on it like this, for some reason...
They hate that.
They hate that.
And they use silver, which is a thing that when I first saw this, I didn't like. Because I was like, well, that's a werewolf thing. You're just trying to come up with more weaknesses. But as I have learned in growing, silver is a vampire weakness. Mm-hmm. It's just they didn't use it in the original Dracula. And we give that to werewolves. I don't think the silver thing is a werewolf thing mythologically.
Because they got to have something.
Yeah, they have to have something. And so just... when we kept making things moving forward, we just kept not using silver in film. But silver mythologically is a vampire weakness. So it doesn't bother me much now, but it still feels wrong. I academically know that it is correct. It still feels wrong. Silver is for werewolves.
I like how somewhat overexposed that shot was.
Yeah.
All the cinematography in this is wonderful.
It
just feels like everybody wanted to make this.
I've always thought that I can't think of what his name is now.
This always helps me remember people's names.
In Angel,
keep doing it. It'll come to you.
The pretty boy guy, Leslie.
There you go.
Lindsay.
Yeah. Lindsay
Lindsay has always reminded me of Deacon Frost, especially.
And I couldn't put my finger on it, but you're absolutely right.
Especially when we get to the final fight of this movie, there is a point where where Lindsay and Angel have a fight, and it's in the exact same room.
Yes, it looks just like it.
Yeah,
in season 5.
And I don't know whether that's intentional or not. He never had as much of a career as he could have.
And he's got his hair like that, too.
He did announce a few years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago at this point, that he was going to make a Deacon Frost trilogy. Prequel trilogy.
Oh, that is crazy.
Yeah.
What would you do with that?
I don't know, because this character clearly kind of starts here. Like, not that he was, like, born yesterday, but...
But, like, maybe the day before yesterday.
Well, he turns Blade's mom. So, like, he's at least,
so he's been around a long
30
time.
years, but... This is him making his way.
I was just joking. I may never have a chance to make that joke again.
A lot like Matt Fraction.
Oh, really?
I know you don't know what Matt Fraction looks like, but
like,
I'm just looking at it now, I'm like, oh, he looks like Matt Fraction. Go look up a picture of Matt Fraction, everybody. He looks like him.
Let's play the hieroglyph game!
It's
the hieroglyph game.
Is it an eye?
It's the hieroglyph
Is it a circle with some wavy lines? I don't know. I love Blade's car. I like muscle cars. I'm not a car guy. I can't tell you what kind of cars I like, but I like muscle cars. Does he drive this car
through this whole movie? Because that's not a car anybody ever talks about.
No, I think he does.
Yeah, that's interesting. That should kind of be a movie car.
Yeah.
People don't really talk about it.
In the animated series, he's got a motorcycle.
Yep.
I don't remember.
Which seems like a dumb idea if sunlight is bad for you.
I think, but it's not bad for him.
Is it not? No, no. That's right. I couldn't remember if that. I know this one's not, but yeah, Daywalker. Okay.
I think he.
I just can't keep all this stuff straight anymore.
He has that car through all 3 of them. It's been a while.
It's the hieroglyph game. Can you match this hieroglyph on the back of these people's necks to one of the hieroglyphs you saw earlier in your CD-ROM game?
Now, we learned here that David Goyer is clearly a Superman fan because he does the house crest thing, where they're just symbols. Mm-hmm. Because
of course
all of the glyphs are like those 2 glyphs match. It's not just random symbols. Mm-hmm. They're linked to the house that they're made under.
And then when we get a Man of Steel, we horribly overcomplicate them. Some of the new language they came up with for that is really interesting looking, but we really overdid it on the crests. Real good at tension in this movie, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just always waiting for something to happen. And not in a bad way. There's a lot of movies that I've seen that I can say that in a really annoyed and negative way. This whole movie is just sitting here waiting for something to happen. No, the difference is here, things happen.
Yeah.
After I've waited for them, and it was intentional.
And
I was going along with it.
I'm not sure if we've got the scene yet, or if Blade already did it. I don't think Blade's had the speech yet, but he has a speech about how he can tell vampires from the way they move.
I don't think he's talking about that yet.
Okay. That is a plot hole in the third one. I'll bring it up when we get to the third one, and maybe when he says the line. How'd you get in here?
I'm really enjoying watching this movie with Eric's commentary. I'm learning so much. But I'm also getting to re-experience this movie. It's wonderful.
Krieger.
But I had to make sure... Yeah, he makes cereals. No, I'm kidding. I had to make sure when I started this movie that I toggled the subtitles for the movie and not the subtitles for Eric's commentary. So I actually get to, look at what the people are saying. But it's weird how every time I'm talking, the Eric commentary is not. It's really strange. Yeah, some of the reason that the tension works so well here is because sometimes you'll have somebody walking down a hallway and nothing happens to them.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it does. Oh, he comes out of nowhere!
Yeah.
Wait. Oh, okay. He didn't get knocked out the first time. That's good. I hate it when we do that in movies. You just grab a person and toss them, and then they're knocked out. Later we'll make a video where I'll try that on Eric.
I like this idea. I mean...
This is a great idea.
It's not...
Yeah, I forgot about this.
It's not... Like, this goes back to Dracula. Mm-hmm. Like, there are always minions. But the idea that in the real world, like, it's a mob thing. Like, they want to become made men.
And getting turned is a reward you get for being loyal.
Yeah.
And vampires owning humans.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense. And this is a thing... Basically, have you ever seen Daybreakers? Or,
No, it was a movie that I always meant to see, and then people said it wasn't that good, and I didn't see it.
Yeah, the basic premise of it is really cool, and there's some neat...
And it was my premise. I had it, and then the movie came out.
It's basically what these vampires would like to have.
Mm.
It's kind of it's kind of like this if Blade loses.
Yeah.
Where the vampires have taken over, and humans are subservient to them.
Yeah,
and they are all food.
When I was a teenager, I came up with that idea. People were literally cattle and things like that.
Yeah. That's great.
It was, and then that movie came out. Stole my idea.
It could have been done. It could have been done so much better, but the problem with it, and I'm gonna spoil that movie a little bit, just so people know, Daybreakers. But the problem with it is, it turns into a destroy the system movie, which is very often just not interesting.
Mm.
Where that movie shouldn't have a happy ending necessarily. I mean, what they did, they perhaps could have been done in a more compelling way. Mm-hmm. But I wanted to live in that society more before we tore it down. That was my big thing with it.
That's a Matrix line.
And it's hard not to make that seem too easy.
This is all really Matrixy.
I thought you were actually talking about the idea I was talking about compared to the Matrix, because that's actually an interesting thing to compare it to. Because the reason the Matrix stands so well on its own and does not meet sequels
is because he doesn't break down.
It's because he doesn't break down the system.
Yeah.
And you can just imagine that will happen at some point, maybe. Yep. But it's not. It's not about that.
Right.
And it just doesn't. It's just not that interesting once it is.
You know, it's kind of weird. This is a thing that we do in movies all the time, and television shows and comic books. I
like all this nature and nurture stuff. Sorry.
Where they're like camped out watching, and they're like, why would they come back? And like the criminal returning to the scene of the crime is just a phrase at this point.
Yeah.
Like, everyone
assume it's
has
gonna
to
happen.
know that that's going to happen, but constantly you see characters be like, why would he come back to where he committed this crime? It's like, what world do you live in where that's not just commonplace? Everyone knows that. And, I mean, in this case, he had to come back and get his car.
I mean, if you're smart, you wouldn't do that.
Yeah, but a lot of times
Unless you're not aware that that it's an official crime scene.
Well, a lot of times it's psychologically, like, you have to see people witness what you've done.
Yeah. It's
a
an
thing
ego
like that.
thing.
Yeah. No, I mean,
yeah, a lot of, not all of them, but a lot of criminals like want recognition, and that doesn't follow with being a criminal.
Yeah.
It's contradictory to getting away with it because you want to be anonymous if you're going to get away with it.
It's like setting a practical joke, and like we have to be there when it goes off. You want to see the reaction.
It wasn't worth doing in the first place. Yeah. You want to see how much smarter you are than other people.
Yeah, yeah.
That's why I've always liked the idea of the Riddler. He's the most extreme case of that. He's compelled to keep leaving clues because he has to see people squirm trying to solve them.
So that line is a line that's too cool for school, but totally works because Wesley Snipes delivers it, where he says there's worse things out there than vampires, and she says what, and he says me.
Yeah, it works. And exposition is fun in this because of the way he delivers it.
Yep.
So, like, that whole walking across the street thing there is pretty much just so that we know what vampires are susceptible to. And it's fun to watch.
I believe that David Goyer is an alright writer who lives and dies by his director.
Which is why when he's his own director, it's all over.
Yeah.
Or that happened the one time.
And the other films he's directed. This movie is good. The next one has a better director and is great. Third one he directs himself. Not good. I feel like his scripts are really could go either way.
Because I've only seen him. That's only thing he directed. I've seen. That would not knock a person out. If you hit your head right, did not look like that person hit their head right. Or at all.
Yeah, but he's got super strength.
Okay, so his super strength should make that person hit their head harder.
Yeah.
But it did not look like that's what happened. I really can't tell you that now. I'm dead.
Wesley Snipes is really great in this.
Yeah.
Like, this movie doesn't work as well if it's a different actor. Yeah.
Yeah, and I like that this Blade, like, enjoys what he does.
Yeah. Yeah. That was real easy, man. You could open some doors. There wasn't even like a secret trigger or anything.
No, it's not like they're necessarily going to know that you did that. You just be like, oh, he found it! It was a big problem! That look was hilarious.
Yeah. I'm not exactly sure what I was supposed to get from that look. Was it like a really...
You ripped up this
or was
kitchen.
It
What's wrong with you?
Was it...
Was she reacting to the fact that there's this really comic booky trapdoor here that they're walking into? Or trapdoor? A secret entrance?
I don't know. If I'm breaking into a facility, I don't want to go in elevators.
I've never seen anyone cosplay Blade.
Interesting.
And I know it's been a while, but like...
you would think people would cosplay
seems like a
Blade.
thing that would be fun to cosplay.
You should do it.
I'm not going to do that.
I
don't think I would look good with that haircut.
Everyone would think you're just being Neo.
So I'll just be Neo. Like, that's cool. And I'm not tall enough to play any of those characters.
It's true.
And like I said, my hair wouldn't look good like that. This is another facility where I feel like we might be able to find the secret of the ooze. Rubber Ducky, you're the one!
Why are there a bunch of rubber duckies?
You make rooftop bath time lots of fun! Yeah, he does. He throws a good party.
So is this is our first villain without a shirt?
Are we counting those now?
I'm gonna start.
Hey, did we
Actually,
have a-
I don't think there's a lot in the
Did
Marvel
we have
movies.
a boardroom scene earlier? Did we have
We did.
Evil
We had
boardroom
even-
scene? So this is our third
That's
evil
our
boardroom
third evil
scene
boardroom scene.
in 5 movies.
Yep.
There was no evil boardroom scene in the Roger
Fantastic Four,
Corman
no.
Fantastic Four.
But yeah, that was our third evil boardroom scene. This is our first villain without a shirt.
We should be counting some other things. We should think of other cool things to count. And then retroactively be like, oh god, were they in the last 5 movies that we did?
Oh no, we forgot to count them in the other
That's
movies.
been the problem with Counting Crypt Freaks, is I didn't take the time to go back and rewatch that entire series before I started that show. So every now and again I'll come up with a cool new thing to count and I'm like, crap, I gotta go back.
That's what computers look like, right?
Yep.
When you're coding, like that's what it looks like.
That's what vampire computers look
Yeah.
like. Dumb effing me!
Oh man. Do you remember Pearl?
Not
I'm
right
excited
off.
for you to get to Pearl.
I don't remember.
I'm excited for you to get to Pearl.
This is like watching this for the first time in a way. Like things are coming back to me as I'm watching it, but I'm like, oh yeah, and that's thematically what I thought was cool. And that's a character thing that I talked about, and
He's so good.
Donald Logue.
Yeah.
And every time he's on screen. And even in like a bad guy role like this, you want to be that guy's best friend.
Yeah.
At least
Yeah.
Donald Logue's. Maybe not that guy.
Yeah, you don't want to be Deacon Frost's best friend, but you want Donald Logue to be your best friend.
Yeah. Oh. See, but see, they somewhat prepared us for that.
Yeah.
That's a lot of blood, though. Oof. God. Ah! It's just a...
Oh, look, that's a little bat. Isn't that funny? Because they're vampires.
I'll get it. What? What? Hey, hang on. Hang on now. I did not notice this before. That would not make a rubber ducky squeak, okay? They got thrown in the water, and the duck was just there, and that was cartoony in not the way this movie should be cartoony. That is my first criticism of this film, ladies and gentlemen, is you do not splash into water and a rubber duck goes... Unless she landed on one, but I don't think that's what happened. Or he landed on one.
There's Pearl.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot what that thing's name was.
This is a friend this is a thing that my friends and I used to do. We just like yell at each other, Frost, you need me.
That's a thing that subsequently I have seen in 2 or 3 sci-fi things, and they tend to be weird British things. Like Doctor Who has like a big, slothy, scary overweight villain, and
in one of the worst episodes of that show.
And it's not great. And there's something sort of like it in the live action Hitchhiker series.
And he's
If
kind
memory
of
serves.
he also kind of reminds me of
I like the idea that there's different looking vampires. You know,
yeah.
Not that they like take different forms, but they just, you know, is the idea that that's just a vampire that let itself go? Like what happened?
And
there?
it's super old, I think.
Yeah.
Who's the guy in X-Men?
Oh,
Mojo.
Oh, Mojo.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is like
kinda reminds me
Mojo.
of Mojo.
That is just an unfortunate state of being.
He's moving. Get him.
Get him! Somebody should make the Pearl waterbed.
What's in here? It's a storeroom.
Then she opens that up and she gives that face again. It's like, ugh. What are you reacting to?
He's acting with his hands.
Acting. It's the only thing he can move. That's great! That's a good line. This is, and I said this in the rewind, and of course, this is a really easy thing to say now, and we've had more comic book movies that you could say this for, but transplant yourself back to then. This is a comic book on screen.
Yeah.
Through and through.
When we get to Blade 2, I want to see...
I've never looked at those comic adaptations, but if it's not too many panels on a page like a lot of those are,
yeah,
it probably looks really cool. Like, if the art's good.
Yeah, if they get a good artist.
Like, if you went backwards...
This is great.
It looks really cool. The hieroglyphs, yeah. If you went backwards and you tried to make it look like that was the storyboards for this movie, that should be a comic that writes itself.
This is such a cool idea. And it looks
does.
This is super comic booky looking.
Yeah.
Like this is like Apocalypse walks into a room and has this.
There's a joke in there somewhere. Apocalypse walks into a bar.
And the world ends.
He orders an archangel. And the other... He orders a 4 horsemen.
He orders an angel with an arc.
What?
I don't know. But I was gonna say something about. Oh, I'm interested to see, because when we get to Blade 2, I think when we get to Blade 2, it is the biggest fight scene that we've seen, like in comic book movies. Like, it's a really impressive fight scene
at the time,
and I'm interested to see if that actually holds when we get to it. Because I remember that being like the pinnacle of superhero climax fight scenes.
I have played this fighting game.
Yeah, she's kind of like Chun-Li. She was on kicks.
It's real Tekken looking, actually.
Yeah, you're right.
They're moving much more like Tekken.
Yeah, which makes sense because Tekken's based on actual martial artists.
This is shot so well.
Yeah. Isn't it nice to be able to see what's going on?
Yeah.
You don't get that a lot in movies nowadays. We're all shaky so that you feel the action, but you can see what's going on here.
This action is also... this hand-to-hand fight stuff is also a lot like The Matrix.
Yeah.
Except that it feels more like, blows are actually hurting people and stuff.
Yeah.
It feels a little bit less choreographed. Everybody always complains that the second and third movie look completely choreographed.
Yeah.
They really make you think early on that Donald Logue's character is not going to come back.
Yeah.
Ow.
I love that he has a new hand. He's just like, they got him play piano again.
Someday Monkey won't play piano song. Play piano song.
Oh, he's just so good.
He's just the greatest thing that ever happened to comic book movie.
He's great in Ghost Rider, too.
I mean, gets no credit. Nobody talks about him.
No, he's great.
You look like
he's
a
been
man
making jokes this whole time.
who takes his job a little too seriously.
Huh.
Isn't that interesting?
It's Goyer.
Uh-huh. At the end of this movie, does Blade talk about how, like, the city has just shown you that good? No?
Maybe. I think he does a little bit in the second one. It's a good laugh. Oh no!
I love a superhero that does a good villain laugh.
That's their Bible, man. Like, that is ancient text.
I'm glad we ripped your highfalutin parchment.
That's history.
Blade doesn't care about vampire history.
No, but you should care about history.
And he doesn't want to be a vampire.
These belong in a museum. A vampire museum.
You, a vampire.
You know, it's interesting so far, and I'm interested to see if this tracks. Everything's underground. It's all. I do not buy that in a sequel the people still don't know that there's no vampires.
That's a really good point.
This movie continues to keep the action hidden in places where.
And there's a mystique to that.
Yeah.
This
isn't it nice to not be laughing at a movie?
Yeah, these explosions don't look so good.
No.
But this
the train itself doesn't look great either. Going by in front of them.
They did not have a train.
No, they didn't.
They did not have Wesley Snipes standing between a wall and a train trying not to get hit. That didn't happen. This could all be the climax of your movie.
Yeah.
Or I guess what we're looking at just before this feels like.
Those poor guys.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
We're taking a risk here to have this kind of stuff, and we've still got to build to something bigger.
And we're gonna get bigger.
Yeah.
Maybe too big.
But you say you still buy that it's underground enough. There's still secret society.
Oh no!
People don't know about it.
I mean, there's special effects stuff.
Yeah.
Or is it too small? I can never remember.
But that's cool. I don't remember really how this ends.
Well, there are two endings. There was an alternate ending.
Yeah.
And I think I remember the alternate ending, and they intentionally don't do it because the special effects aren't there. But we'll talk about that when we get to it.
Yeah. Is that a thing where, like, he's on a big circle fighting a guy? Or...
But that's Spider-Man 3. Yeah, that's where he's on the big circle
fighting. Am I right about that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the thing that reminds me of Angel. I think he just runs away. More villains, more Minion villains specifically, should just run away.
That's right. So you do that Power Ranger thing. I'll get you next time, Rangers.
So after this, the director goes on to kill his career by making League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Which is not a terrible looking movie.
That's
actually.
The ticket now. See, yeah, it is. There's some really good atmosphere in that.
Mm-hmm.
I remember really liking some of the set design in that movie too.
Yeah, there's some really cool looking stuff in that movie.
And there's no denying that the Invisible Man is cool, but it's not a great movie.
No. It's a movie that made Sean Connery quit acting.
Isn't it crazy that...
Did we not know that until this moment? That's kind of interesting.
Yeah. That was the thing I always really liked about it. That, yeah, and you saw... You see that he's got fangs.
Yeah.
But we're not hand-holding the audience. You know, we don't start talking about it until we really need to. And until we have a good... chance to with a character who doesn't know any of this stuff. So now we can give this exposition, and they're talking to someone who legitimately does not know what's going on. And so these characters do not know that you and I are here watching them, making a video about it. See, Eric, I didn't know about the sunlight thing because I needed Whistler to explain that to me. He had to talk about it first. But no, it's cool that we've seen him inject himself already a couple times before we even know why he's doing that.
I like that that we say vampires age slower than us. It's not that they don't age; they age slower. That makes sequels and moving forward a lot easier.
Yeah, no, that's a good point too. Yeah.
And you can have...
He could come back and do it one more time, maybe.
And you can have older guys that are... Because we'll have that in the second in the second one. And we have that a little bit in this one. You have older people that are vampires.
Because I think Marvel has Blade now, and...
He said Blade ages normally. Vampires age slowly. Blade ages normally. You can make another Blade movie and he'd be fine because he ages normally.
That's right, yeah. Although if he didn't, it would be kind of cool to set one of these in the future.
Yeah, that would be cool. Blade 2099.
Blade 2099, yeah. I would love to see Marvel Cinematic do 2099.
Yeah. That'd be cool.
Do one movie. Do some offshoot things like that are like one-shot things, don't have to be franchises. Although 2099 is something that you easily could do multiple films for if people really liked it, but...
Yeah. That's stuff I'd like to see in Phase 3. Look, you've won. You own the cinema. Let's take some risks.
You can do anything you want to. And they have some, and let's step that up and keep
more
going.
out of continuity kind of risks.
Oh, absolutely.
Kind of things.
Well, a lot of people were saying this.
Marvel's
I'm not alone. But Doctor Strange set us up for what-if kinds of stories.
Yeah.
Alternate universe things. But yeah, Wesley Snipes really wants to play it again.
Yeah. And I think he's done with all his legal trouble. I think he actually can.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be really strange... And they wouldn't do that, right? Like, it'd be really strange for him to come in and reprise that role in a reboot for Marvel.
They might.
That wouldn't happen.
They might.
You think?
Maybe.
But that would kind of... It wouldn't canonicize these, but I think that they would frown on it. I don't think they would do that.
I think they might if he is not the star. Like, I could maybe see, like, in a Netflix show, him showing up as Blade.
Okay. Maybe. I don't think he would do that. I think Wesley Snipes plays Blade if he gets to be the star of the movie.
Yep. Which is part of the problem when we get to 3.
And I would assume part of the reason he would want to do it is to have one more good movie after Trinity, because he hated making that movie and doesn't like it, and... This is some legitimately fun dark comedy where he's losing pieces of himself throughout the movie.
Yep.
Again! It'll grow back! It's alright! Do you feel like this is one of those movies that if you get in a conversation with someone about, like, people tend to remember this really fondly, but it's not a thing people talk about a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's a movie people are like, oh yeah, I love those movies. But they don't watch them a lot.
It's not really heralded as, like, you know, a classic or anything. I mean, for the genre.
Yeah.
Even when people are having, like, overall comic book movie conversations.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to forget that these are comic book movies.
Well,
like, even when you know that. Or just, like, specifically based on a comic book.
I feel like most of the time
when it feels
up,
like a comic book movie.
It is X-Men kicked off the comic book movie boom. Well, technically Blade. And then that is all that is said about Blade.
That's right, yeah.
Okay, so this is an idea I cannot tell you whether it is too silly or not.
Okay.
They cover themselves in sunblock.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if it's too silly. I can't tell you whether it's too far or not.
I feel like it is so careful to get every pore. Mm. It is unbelievable that you wouldn't have, like, some bit somewhere that you missed where the sunlight gets through. I think it's a clever idea. I don't know if it's going too far for this material. That is a real gray area. I don't know.
Mm.
I don't know if I want to praise that or make fun of it.
Yeah.
I don't know. But when you think of it, like, the inside of your ear, you forget that, you're done. That's it. Just the inside of your nostril. You careen your head the wrong way. Sunlight gets through. Psh, that would be a really embarrassing way to go. I had plenty of sunblock.
Well, and that's not exactly how sunblock works.
No.
Like, I don't know if it... Like...
No, it would have to be like a sun shield.
Yeah.
I just have to assume that it doesn't work like normal sunblock. But you would have to paint yours. Now, if they painted themselves with something...
Is this metaphor too literal? They take his teeth away?
I never thought of it.
I guess it's not too literal. Ha!
At least nobody comes out and says, we took his teeth away.
Yeah. Oh, they have motorcycle helmets too. Okay, that's a little bit more. I remembered it just being.
But then what is the point of the sunblock? Oh,
it probably adds to it.
God. I mean, obviously, sunlight would still be getting through.
So that's probably why
glass or the glass, the plastic. But
Dragon Eddie is his name.
But yeah, if they had some kind of like sunlight blocking paint or something that they like painted on themselves, that might be kind of cool.
So he threw.
I want somebody to be like, it's SPF 5000.
I want to say that joke is in something. He throws the teeth. That's a mafia thing, right? Like that is the finger. Like that's showing somebody's like I cut their finger off. There's a lot of mafia in this vampire.
That's a good point. See, too much of what I know about certain genres of movies are from comic movies homaging them.
So they said the spirits of the 12. I'm going to guess that is not a reference to the 12, which is a thing with Apocalypse, and Cyclops is one of them. I guess it's not a deep pull to something that would have happened like the year this came out. I do not know whether Lamagra is in the comics or not. I think that's entirely original creation of this film.
What is it again?
Lamagra, the blood god. I think that is entirely this film. I might be.
You know the name of that. That's amazing.
How could you ever forget Lamagra?
Isn't that Don Quixote, the man of Lamagra?
Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that what that is?
His dream is impossible. You know, from a certain point of view, isn't Deacon Frost really Don Quixote?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He's always chasing the windmills.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, windmills. Windmills are these really elusive sandwiches and fries. They're just like on a plate, moving with the wind. The winds of change.
Cold Heart is a dead heart.
I always really liked the idea of Whistler.
That's not profound.
What's that now?
She said, my mother used to say, a cold heart is a dead heart. That's not profound. A cold heart would be a dead heart.
Okay.
I'm taking that super literally.
Yeah, a little bit. But yeah, I always like the idea that, Whistler is dying from cancer and that they're both like having to try to kind of take medicine to sustain themselves and
yeah.
Well, you have a cold heart, see.
Yeah.
That gives you a dead heart.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What do you think of her?
She's fine. Actually, she's quite good.
I think so
For
too.
For this role, like, we've seen this role 1,000 times with much lesser actresses.
Yeah.
No, she's good, and she plays off Wesley Snipes well.
Yeah, and
I don't know where she is now. Like,
she's,
I feel like I should have seen her in more things.
For this material, she's weirdly understated. I don't know if that makes any sense at all.
Mm-hmm.
But
okay, so this is where it starts.
Yeah.
As a kid, I walk in. This scene is playing.
It starts.
So this
was too much for you.
No, this is not the scene.
I just mean later.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we will get to the scene. I will point out, but this has a thing that I remember weird. So this is the bullet time scene, and he fires a bullet and it goes slow. In my memory as a child, I didn't know that it was supposed to be a bullet. I want to see how the CG holds up. Because I didn't realize it was supposed to be a bullet. I thought he had a gun that shot some kind of bubbles. Like...
Oh, that's where he brings up
like
the
holy water bubbles or something. Like Like, I thought it was a glob of water that is shot. I'm interested to see how bad the special effects are. That as a kid, I thought it was...
you did not know what it was supposed to
Yes.
be. Wow.
Okay, so this is where he's got sunblock. Or he still has sunblock.
Yeah, he was just talking about that. I'll just watch the movie and you keep talking about it, and then when you wonder where a thing is, I can just be like, well, I was watching it.
Yeah, well, it happened here.
And so there it is. Mm-hmm.
Hey, you think those guys over there are talking about us like we're like cattle?
This is your real traditional place for this first kind of standoff.
You know, some people, like, they're always worried that, like, other people, like, when they're laughing at them. I'm always worried that people when they look at me, they're talking about how I'm cattle.
Yeah. Yeah, I get real concerned about that, too. I get real self-conscious about it. You know? It's enough to make me not want to, like, use email or ever post anything on Twitter or...
There's Lamagra.
I'm familiar with Don Quixote.
So that's the first place we say Lamagra. That's kind of interesting that we build that up like anyone is going to know what that name means. Like, they keep saying the blood god. I think that's the first place we get Lamagra.
Wow, he's insulting him a lot in a lot of different ways. He's a maniac, and he's an idiot. I think I'd rather be a maniac than an idiot, though.
Yeah.
I always thought this was framed weird. I don't know why we cut it off at his forehead.
Yeah.
It's a weird choice.
I could see where I would get liquid.
I don't mind that, though. It looks okay.
Yeah.
Those bullets.
Yeah, no, they look like bullets, but I could see where, as a kid, I would get liquid.
It's because of the way the light shines off of them.
Mm-hmm.
But it looks realistic enough, especially for this era.
Yeah, no, it looks all right. It's interesting.
And it's not bullet time. It's slowed down a little, but it's not bullet time.
It's pretty close.
No, it's not.
You see bullets moving.
Yeah, but not in bullet time. They're still moving real fast. Bullet time is like everything slows to a crawl, and you move around and you see everything. Like, it's... Arguably, it's hard to call it bullet time unless you spin around and look at the whole scene.
I don't think so.
It's just that's generally what we mean when we say bullet time, though.
I don't think so. I think it's when you slow things down to the point where you can see physical bullets. It's really this is all an evolution and extension of what John Woo does.
Yeah.
John Woo is the one that starts slowing down, like jumping and shooting. We get to the point where we're physically seeing the bullets being shot.
Yeah, that's true. But I don't know. That's like from behind them and like from the bullet's perspective.
Yeah, no,
like,
it's not as close to the Matrix as I remember it being.
Or what I think of as bullet time. I don't know.
But it is interesting that comes out in the same year this is either the same year or it's right before the Matrix.
Yeah.
Like it's one of those zeitgeist like that's just in the filmmaking zeitgeist at the moment. Like there's a lot of that with this and the Matrix. They're clearly drawing from a lot of the same sources and things like that. And they're both clearly going to raves. Because the Wachowskis are also clearly rave people.
Yes. Are they raving maniacs?
I mean, I saw the Matrix Revolutions, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Also, only one revolution.
Really
it should be called the Matrix Resolutions.
Yeah, because there's like subplots and stuff.
And everything resolves.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Multiple subplots resolve.
That's a lie.
Ow.
I know what happens in the sequel.
Well, he's not going to right now. He thinks this is going to be the end of him.
Oh, he's not going to bite him. Donald Logue is going to bite him. Maybe. I don't remember how they retconned this in the sequel exactly.
Oh, yeah. They do retcon this.
Mm-hmm. He is dead in this movie.
It has been so long since I've seen this.
So, there's a funny thing about Blade's coat, and I've been noticing that they've been intentionally doing something.
Okay.
He can't take his coat out while the sword is in, which makes complete sense when you think about it.
Yeah.
I noticed earlier he didn't have his coat and he was doing a lot of sword stuff, and now he doesn't have the sword in his back, but he's got his coat on. They're really working around that thing.
It's really impractical, but it looks cool, so
yeah.
we're going to work around it.
Yeah. You would think he would just... That's kind of fun. That's kind of diehardy. You would think you would just put the sword sheath on the back of the coat, not on the back of your vest. Although I guess that if you take your coat off, where do you put your sword? So, yeah, it's real impractical.
I loved that choice that he waits to look at it.
Yeah.
At the body. Or I guess the almost dead man.
Okay, so I'm gonna guess what I'm supposed to get here with knowledge of what happens in the sequel.
Yeah.
Is that he is bit here and he will turn into a vampire?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I thought it was.
Yeah. Well,
but I do remember something feeling retconny in the sequel, and I just can't remember what it is now.
Yeah, it's
something that...
It's because he's supposed to shoot himself here, but we do it off screen, and in the sequel he didn't shoot himself.
Okay.
But I couldn't remember... I didn't remember that he was all bit up. So that tracks pretty alright. I mean, and this is real hero's journey stuff. The mentor dies.
Yeah. He's got to go on his own.
Yeah.
Also, and I know I find that I seem to have the need to bring this up with everything we talk about, but it's nice this isn't an origin thing.
Yeah. Yeah, we talk about his origin, but this is not... I actually think when we get to his mom, it feels a little bit too origin... Not too origin, but like it wasn't needed.
You think?
Yeah. I've always thought pulling his mom in was unnecessary. I think this movie works fine without it. You can just have the reveal that Deacon Frost made him.
But even then, like, it's background and we're talking about it, but it's not like starting from that place.
No. I mean when his mom comes up later.
Oh no, I know.
Yeah,
but I'm just saying, even then, it's not an origin picture. It's
yeah,
not,
no, not at all.
And here's him first putting his coat on.
Yeah, he's not learning to fight vampires.
And here's how he decided to have this impractical thing with a sword that's hard to take out of a coat.
Now it has
that gun is insane.
It has that it is. It's a really cool gun. It looks almost like a nail gun. It has that POV character that we do in genre films. I feel like sometimes we do the origin stuff, and we have the POV character, like that best friend that has to be like, "Oh man, it's crazy that you have superpowers."
Yeah. And I don't know why, but that character always has to have his hands over his head as he's saying it. He always does that.
Like, that's kind of annoying, right? Like, the reason you have that POV character to experience the world is because we are starting in a world that already exists. When your main character...
And you need an in. You need a line in.
When your main character is your in, learning about the world, being drawn into it, why do you also have to have the best friend that has to comment on every... It's Green Lantern.
Yeah. Yeah, he's already you're into that world.
Yeah.
He's
why does he need a best friend to be like, "Oh man, it's so crazy that you have a space ring that gives you power"? Yeah. Because Ryan Reynolds experienced that.
Yeah. Because it's the formula they're trying to plug in. And sure, people have friends and
Yeah.
That's not to say that I mean sometimes that person should be there just so you have somebody to talk to.
Yeah. But it feels like
and then you can find some interesting things.
They're also trying to use that character as the your eyes in.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Making bullets is always cool in movies. We do it in Constantine as well. We have a similar, although they make much bigger bullets. I don't know. It looks cool.
This movie is really deft at having a character that is a loner, and I mean, he has the white sage character initially, but like where he's a loner and he doesn't need to talk all the time, and you don't feel bored or confused when he's not talking to people, but then they find ways to work in natural exposition so that when he does have a person to talk to, the main reason often that's there, he is building relationships, but of course we need those characters so that we can be told things that we need to be told, and it never feels like that's being forced in.
Yeah.
And it feels like a character that doesn't have a sidekick.
Yeah.
And that is, again, like by himself and never says anything. But
all this exposition is really natural.
That all works. Yeah.
Was that symbolism a little bit too literal? Holding up the plant, cutting off the roots.
I wasn't looking at it.
Okay, well he holds up a plant and he cuts off the roots.
But yeah, definitely.
So there is an extended version of this scene that fixes a problem I have with this movie. So he's going to tell us here that Lamagra is going to turn everyone into a vampire. The inherent problem with everyone being turned into a vampire is, what are you going to feed on?
Right.
There's a thing that it's in 3, but it's in the script for 1, and they shoot it, and they just couldn't get it to look good. Or maybe it was a time thing. He has a room full of humans that are in giant, like, bags that...
Yeah, I remember that now.
Yeah. That's in 3, but it's also in this, in an extended version of this scene.
And
I like that he was thinking about that.
We could have used it. We should have had it there.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't have to watch 3 in order to get that, because you shouldn't have to watch 3.
Yeah. Well, and it's not like it fixes this movie. It's just he kept using that idea.
Mm-hmm.
But it's nice to know that, because it's real easy to write a story like this and be like, and then everyone will become vampires, and not think it through, and be like, and then what will the vampires do? It's just nice to know that he actually thought about that, and there was an explanation for it.
The vampires in this are evil mutants.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a different thing because they're not just born that way, and there's not any question of evolution.
Mm-hmm.
It really is an infection.
Mm-hmm.
But, they want to rewrite the world to be, we are the again, master race.
This is also really Matrixy.
Yep. And you're just expecting time to slow down and a million bullets to fly at these guys and kill them.
Yeah, and like
moment.
running on kick flipping off of walls and shooting upside down, and yeah.
And then a giant explosion down a hallway.
Although the explosions in the Matrix look better than the explosions we've seen thus far in this.
They do.
That was a weird way to cut that scene.
That was weird. I'm just waiting for a motorcycle, and then we cut. That's great.
Oh, there's his motorcycle.
Yeah, that was a strange choice, though, right?
To rev it before?
To, ramp that up, and then cut the scene and go to Frost, and then go back to this.
You shouldn't hear the revving.
I don't know why we did that.
I think it would be fine to have them coming out, not hear the rev. It's because you hear the revving, it feels like you're cutting the scene in the middle.
Yeah, because that's what they did. Pretty clearly.
This also feels really Terminator-y. It actually feels less Matrix-y and more Terminator 2-y.
Well,
it looks more Terminator 2-y.
At this point, yes.
Yeah.
The lead up to it.
Yeah.
Again, we're not saying that it was inspired by that, because that came later, but... If I ever do...
No, I'm not saying that the Matrix is ripping this off or this is ripping the Matrix off.
Oh, I know.
It's all about it's that zeitgeist thing that we keep talking about.
Yeah. I'm just saying that for the cameras.
Yeah.
He's bouncy.
Yeah.
I love how bouncy he is. If I ever did a list of great comic book movie henchmen, Donald Logan, this movie's probably on it.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
This is it. This is where this is where I quit. When I'm about 10 years old and I see this on TV, that's it for me.
Just the explosion.
Just the head, and then, yeah, no, I'm done. I'm out of the room.
That's not that hard to watch anymore.
No. And it doesn't look that good. I think it's part of it. It looks cheesy. But yeah, no. So that's my original viewing of this film. It starts in that garden and it ends with that guy's head exploding. It's a lovely short film.
Yeah, it certainly is a small, square, white room. Whoa! Now he's playing a video game, just like she said. It's the hieroglyph game. It's the.
This is also not exactly the same. Kind of like the loading room. It's all white.
Mm-hmm.
There's something in the
Except
water,
the loading
man.
room isn't a room. It is just a void.
Yeah.
This is not a void. You can actually see where the walls are. You like Blade because Blade has your name.
It's true.
I forgot about that. I forgot he had a name.
So is the Crow.
Yes, but that I remember.
Well, and
his name is Eric Draven.
And that's one of the reasons that like I keep saying this and I don't actually know if it happened, like maybe it was just a rumor, but there was a rumor that Blade was going to be replaced by his daughter and she was going to be the new Blade.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, look, that's just
movies?
his name. No, in the comics. I was like, you can't replace Blade. That's his name.
Yeah.
I know his name's Eric.
Yeah.
But it's like
it's on
Sting.
mantle.
It's like Sting.
Yeah.
It's his name.
Uh-huh. If something ever happened to me, we're not looking for the next Captain Logan.
Yeah.
Just.
Well, I mean, why would they look? I'm the next Captain Logan.
Clearly, yeah, you know. But
I will have to find a new
okay,
Eric.
so with the real quick with the Crow, it is Eric Draven, right?
Yeah,
that's his name.
Yeah,
I never put this together.
Yeah, it's D Raven.
I never put that together. I feel really dumb.
It's Eric D Raven.
Quoth D Raven. Man, I feel dumb.
They thought they were so clever for coming up with that name.
Yeah, they did. Whoosh. Hey, Cap, you think that's too on the nose? Clearly I don't. I'm getting chips all over myself. I'm a mess right now.
See, and stuff like this is why I'm unable to get into something like Supernatural. Like, I'm watching stuff like this, and The Crow, and The X-Files. Like, I'm watching all of this stuff. I'm reading all this stuff as a teenager. I am inundated with this kind of entertainment.
And that just feels like too back to basics?
Yeah,
I've never seen it.
It's too... There's nothing new there for me. There's nothing interesting or unique. There's no twist on anything cool.
Are you using this as a platform to complain about
I don't like Supernatural. People can like Supernatural. That's fine. Those people didn't have my teenage years. Where like all I did was consume that kind of television and comics and books and movies.
It just feels redundant.
Yeah, it's really redundant for me. See, now that is a big round room.
That is a big round room. Well, it's really oblong too.
You know,
I feel like I've seen these before, Eric.
You have a bat cave.
I do.
Mm-hmm. I think I might try and get one of these.
Oh, cool! A hieroglyph room.
Yeah, yeah. Much like the Empire, no railings.
You know what else is?
I love that he takes his sunglasses.
You know what else is a little bit like this later? Hellboy.
Yes.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks really cool.
Yeah. It looks like it's probably a set. Like, it doesn't look like a matte painting when they look down. Like, obviously, this is a set. But it looks like they built this whole room.
You gotta wonder how much of it they built.
Yeah.
Could be model work.
That's true. That's true.
In fact, likely to be model work.
Yeah.
Although, how far down it do we actually go?
Well, we just looked down. I'm not sure.
Yeah, but do we actually go down it?
Yeah, because they fight on that platform.
Yeah, they fight on that platform. So it could be that they built the top of it and the platform,
the bottom of it, and then the rest is model.
Some of that they have to give us a trick to make it look bigger than it is.
Don't look so great.
What's that?
I said, don't look so great.
Yeah. These costumes are all so over the top.
Yeah.
This whole world is like this.
Yeah. I've never known what acid etch means or why it's advantageous to your sword.
We should look that up.
When I first saw this, not obviously the time where I quit before I got to this scene. When I first see this as a teenager, I thought that meant that like his sword like opened and had acid in it. But that's not possible, and there's no way that that's what that is.
And that's also not the word.
Yeah.
It's not acid ACID, is it?
Yeah, it's ACID. It's acid etch.
I think that's what the subtitle said, but I wasn't looking that close at it because I didn't realize we would be having a conversation about that.
You know what? He's like Rasco.
Okay, I don't know if that's a compliment to Rasco, but Rasco, you're like an evil vampire henchman guy.
Played by Donald Logue.
You used to have long hair. I don't know how well. Is it just that he's so laid back and nothing gets to him?
Yeah. No, that's what it is.
I mean, yeah, it got to him when he got his arm lobbed off, but I've never lobbed off Rasco's arm. I don't know how he would react to that. Again! One of the reasons Blade's inherently likable is just because he's proactive and tries things and isn't just like thrust into situations and wins because his name's in the title.
So they throw the serum, and what we don't do that we do in movies all the time now,
We cut to it.
we cut to it landing.
Yeah.
So you know, all right, this is where it is. So when it comes back later,
This movie gives its audience plenty of credit.
yeah,
It tells us exactly what we need to know
Yeah.
in order to understand what's going on. But it expects us to have as active as an experience as watching a movie possibly can have. We have to be thinking and pay attention.
he's evil Rasco.
Yeah, he is evil Rasco. Every now and again, zombies happen. Zombies happen. You know why? Because cheese. That's another one of those silly lines that I don't know if it's silly in the way that the things that are the silly things that are working in this movie are working. Sometimes they even eat vampires. Good.
So something that I think is going to be troubling when we go in the sequels, she makes a cure. That's never going to come back.
Yeah, I know I've talked about this. I just don't remember it anymore.
Well, we're not into the sequels, but that's something
Yeah.
I remember having an issue with the sequels is she's able to make a cure and that never comes back in the sequels.
And is she still there?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
No. Maybe they split at the end of this movie, but he should still be in contact with her because that's kind of an important thing for what he does as a career choice. He doesn't seem like a zombie to me. He's talking and stuff.
He's a creepy talking zombie. He's creepier because he's talking. If he was just a normal, slow-moving zombie, he would not be scary.
I don't remember this at all.
Me neither. But there's a lot of this I'm not remembering, so that tells you nothing.
I remember what's happening with
I also
Blade.
don't remember this movie. Cab, I'm not sure you watched this. Who wrote that rewind?
That was me.
Who wrote it?
Thank
you for writing that rewind.
I remember that Blade gets like crucified,
and they play you back that rewind, and you're like, I don't agree with myself at all.
And they do the through the wrist thing, because there's a whole big thing about how you can't crucify people through the hands because there's not enough. You can't support the weight, and it would tear through.
Mm-hmm.
They do it through the wrists.
It would go right through the cartilage. Yeah.
Yeah, and so they do it through the wrists. I remember that. That's what I remember. Is I don't remember any of that stuff with her. I remember all of this with him. Oh, it's not crucified. He's just in. He's like in the people molder. It's like a Play-Doh thing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's a little carbonite.
Yeah. It does go through his wrist. I remember that. So I guess I
Okay.
just assumed it was a crucified thing. It's not a crucified thing. I guess that would be 2 on the nose.
Wesley Snipes really got in shape for this.
No, Wesley Snipes always in shape. He's a martial artist.
Okay.
Oh, he's got
Is he always
those,
in this
he's-
much.
he's
Like,
got
he
those,
looks really good.
Those scary neck muscles.
Yeah. He would have made a good Spawn.
He would have made a good Spawn. I think he chose the right project.
You know what's really funny about it too? It's
He got to make 3 movies.
it looks like action figure packaging.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it's foam, like action figure packaging. I'm expecting giant bubble wrap or like packing peanuts. You know, Excelsior.
Yeah, I'm not sure all this stuff with his mom is needed. I don't know. It feels real convenient
That she's there.
that she's there.
Yeah.
Deacon Frost being the one that
I
bit
forgot
her-
all about this whole thing.
Deacon Frost being the one that bit her is already a little convenient, but that is what it is in the comics. Deacon Frost is the guy that makes Blade. I don't know. This feels a little convenient and unnecessary. I mean, and his mom's evil in the Spider-Man 90s cartoon. I don't know if she is in the comics. I haven't read enough of them.
And I've never read any Blade comics.
And I don't understand how after this movie comes out, we don't just do this movie as comic books.
I don't get it either. How is there not a long-running history of Blade comics after this?
Yeah. And we keep trying, and they keep sucking, and no one reads them. I don't know how it's hard to do a Blade comic. I really don't.
I thought we just hadn't even tried it much.
There's a
We
series...
definitely haven't tried it in 7 years.
No. There's a series in the mid-2000s that
At
runs
least.
like 12 issues and is terrible. There's a 4-issue miniseries called Tomb of Dracula that I used to have that is not great. And I think there's a Max series that's like 4 issues written by David Goyer, and it also didn't take off.
So the lesson here is that peripheral Blade things, I say peripheral, just non-movie Blade things are really strange. Like, how is, and just that they happen at all. Like, how, and I still don't get how these movies happen before a lot of other things.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, it is a really good, you know, it is good source material for a movie, sure. But it's like Howard the Duck. It's like, really, that's where you went? Okay.
Well, and given how much is invented, what makes David Goyer not just write a vampire movie?
Yeah.
Why does he make it Blade? Like, with like 3 changes,
sounds cool.
nothing is from the comics.
Yeah.
Like, he
And
doesn't
that's
have to
one
be
of
called
the-
Deacon Frost.
And that's
He's
one
not
of the things
Deacon
that's really
Frost.
cool about it is that it feels like an original thing,
Mm-hmm.
but it also feels like a comic book. And so this should be, I mean, we should be going backwards, right? Like we should be adapting this into comics. But like, how did this get one of those digital pinball machines?
Yeah.
I do not understand how
Yeah.
of all the Marvel
it's not
things you could
based
pick
on this
from-
movie.
No, it's based on the comic. We should call that number.
You should.
Everything's always 555.
I have my phone on me. I would have tried.
Well,
yeah, that's a thing.
No, I know. I'm just saying. There it is again. But I think they had an area code and it was 123, and I've never seen that before.
I feel like this movie thinks she's more of a character than she is.
Yeah.
You. So he is just in an action figure package right now.
Yes.
It's sealed.
Yeah, and nobody's, you know, you shouldn't take him out of his package because he's not even worth as much. Imagine if they... Bear with me a second.
Yeah.
Imagine if they made this toy, okay? Where you have this big metal box right? That comes in standard action figure packaging, and then you open it, and it has, and the toy is that with standard action figure packaging and a blade inside.
Not like a sword, like the character.
Yeah. That is the first and possibly only time in history that it would make sense to make an action figure of action figure packaging.
That's a Rascal line.
Yeah. No, he is. He's just Evil Rasco. Evil Rasco. I gotta be honest with you, I'm not as into this movie right now as I was earlier.
Yeah. No, and it's all of this stuff. I think all of this stuff slows the movie down.
You think it
I've always thought
I almost said blogs it down.
Yeah.
Yeah, you ever blogged anything down?
I think it bogs it down.
Where, like, you just interrupt the pacing of a thing by writing an article on the internet? You blogged it down?
And I don't know... Like, even if you take his mom out, like, you still have to do this, where he has to feed on her to survive, and his blood has to drip down. I just feel like you can be more economical about it. The zombie thing, which doesn't come back in the other films, she didn't need to get dropped into that pit. Like, I feel like you can cut this down just a little bit and make it a little bit faster.
It maybe doesn't need to be a 2-hour movie.
Mm-hmm.
There's maybe 15 minutes that can be cut.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's that much, but not having watched the climax again, but...
That blood doesn't have to drip as slow. It can move a little faster.
We could have gotten 5 whole seconds there.
Yeah. That looks real bad.
That looks... Wow.
That is like screensaver.
That is PlayStation 1 graphics. Are you thirsty, Eric?
A little bit.
There's a lot of people getting their shirts ripped off in this movie.
Yep.
Or open.
Well, he is our first shirtless villain.
Uh-huh. Well, we gotta start writing this down, you know?
Yeah.
How many shirtless villains we have, and...
If we're not seeing anything this month, we might be able to use one of the Feeling It boards to just keep a tally.
Yeah. That's good.
Shirtless villains, evil boardroom scenes.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's not like I'm, like, short on paper
or
anything.
Sure.
You know?
But
you mean just so we can, like,
camera.
show the camera? Yeah, no, we can do that. That'd be good. Yeah, we should do that. From this point on, we'll get...
Yeah.
We'll get a board out, and we'll start tallying those things. But you know me, I'll get too overzealous, and we'll be counting 25 things by the end of this.
This looks better than the drips.
Yeah, it does.
Looks a little bit like jelly, but it looks better than the drips.
And that looks like the Klingon blood in Star Trek 6, except it's the color of actual blood.
What color is Klingon blood? Purple?
In that movie, and nowhere else.
Oh, okay.
It's the color of Pepto-Bismol, and it's the consistency of Pepto-Bismol, especially when it drops onto the.
Is it Pepto-Bismol?
It's great. It might have been Pepto-Bismol. You know, I never put that together. I've always thought it looks like it's possible. It just is Pepto-Bismol. I never thought of that. I should look into that.
So yeah, all this stuff right here. Cut all this. We don't need it. Blade just needs to wake up and he needs to go fight Lamagra.
Yeah. That looks great! Whoa! This is probably the last time, at least in this series we're doing, that we will see this kind of animated lightning, right?
I think so, yeah. And no, we're gonna get tomorrow. Storm's X-Men lightning probably looks like that.
No, it doesn't.
Does it not?
No, it is. This does not look like it's done on a computer.
No, it doesn't.
I mean,
but I thought
is,
lightning
but
looked
it.
like that.
I mean, it does and it doesn't. You know what I mean? Like some of that looks more like computer lightning, but like it looks more like we've done, like some of the earlier movies we've done in the series when you have like electricity or something, almost drawn on the frame.
I mean, that was kind of on that guy. He grabbed that shotgun.
That's your fault, dude. Ah!
Oh man, he's foaming at the mouth.
Yeah. Well, you would be too if that happened to you.
I don't need any of this. It's really slow on this.
That is the Shredder theme on piano. Bum bum bum. I realize it's 3 notes, but every time I hear that, whoa, whoa.
I didn't remember that. It doesn't look great, but I didn't remember it.
No, but it's fun. They're skeleton bats.
I think they did this effect kind of again later in
That's nuts.
Ghost,
and they just bust out of their face. Whoa!
I like that they look like normal skeletons, and then there's like bat skeletons that come out of those skeletons.
That's ambitious.
Yeah.
It looks as good as it possibly could have back then.
Yeah.
I'm not going to hold that against it. And to have that many of them, and everywhere, and...
Okay, we get it. They're going through him.
Yeah, but it's cool.
Something went through me!
Yeah, you can't say that this movie is lazy in any way.
No.
I mean, you can, but I'm not going to say that. That's not what I think.
It's a real emotional moment. It's a Kodak moment, really.
Yeah, having talked through all of that and stuff, I don't know if I would agree with myself if I go back and rewatch this and, am able to pay more attention to things. But I'm with you on the mom right now. That's great. Yeah, that part where Deacon Frost said he's an animal. He's kind of an animal right now. Oh, that's sad. And now he got his shades back. He's gonna wear shades.
This is very Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat! I'm into this movie again.
See, I'm telling you, it's just that mom stuff.
Yep. We should have fast forwarded and just gave her a timestamp.
Yeah. See, we start at the rave, and now we're not at a rave, but we're playing some rave music.
It's bookended.
It's bookended.
It kind of is, actually.
Yeah, a little bit.
Like, you're joking,
it's
but
the
it's
same kind of fight scene.
Yeah, it actually is.
Where it's him fighting a crowd. He did a weird thing with his hands there.
Finish him!
This is really Mortal Kombat-y.
Yeah, it was Tekken earlier. Now it's not. We should see if there are more video games in the sequels. Does Street Fighter pop up? Is there a bit that looks a little bit more like Virtua Fighter or Dead or Alive?
This reminds me of Resident Evil, when you shoot at things and you miss.
That's what happens when I play Resident Evil.
Those tank controls are real bad.
I can't do it. I like the rail shooters.
Yeah, me too. So that's nice that he gave
that looked a lot better. But it's not because but it's because it didn't puff up first, yeah.
But it's nice that
let's just spin around. No, I want you guys to just keep spinning around and not hitting each other for a lot longer. That's really irritating. They kind of look like the
guys in '89.
Yes, yes.
But we know that Blade.
But I don't have to wonder how they got here. How are those guys in that bell tower?
I was thinking the ones in the street, the one with the swords.
Well, yeah, but they look the same. I mean, the same guys are in the bell tower. And there was one in particular he was fighting when you said that.
Yeah.
I think that was like a bell tower guy. But where's the guy with knives? I want Blade to fight the guy with knives. He's like, blah!
That's really cool.
It looks great. Yeah, sorry, you were going to make a point.
But he gives her that garlic spray earlier, and she uses it and doesn't work, and then she uses it here on an actual vampire. It's nice. Where'd you get that sword?
Oh.
So this is
from one of those guys.
This is the angel.
This is that angel scene, yeah. Or that scene is this scene.
Yeah, no, that scene is this scene.
Do you think they actually looked at this?
I have no idea, but it's
thought of this?
really
It's weird that it's
similar.
the same thing. Yeah.
So
I like his bloody Two-Face.
this is a thing that bothers me. That bothered me when I first saw it, and has always kind of bothered me. But I'm not sure if it actually bothers me. So he raises a god, and what that does is make him sword fight faster.
Yeah, you're right. Is he possessed, or does he just have godlike powers now?
I mean, there's a little bit of this stuff, right? Like, it's hard to kill him. Fine.
Yeah.
Now there is a alternate ending where he
Right.
becomes like a blood mist, and it looks terrible, and that's why I chose not to do it.
Ooh,
That looks real bad.
that looks real bad. That looks unfinished.
But
I got historical perspective. I like, again, probably not going to look much better than
the rest of the movie doesn't look this bad.
But that is hard to look at. It's not integrated. It doesn't even remotely look like that is so hard to look at.
But
Well,
so,
he does super speed.
yeah. But so here's where I'm going to argue against myself.
Okay.
Is that
But he does super speed.
yeah, he's more powerful, but he's supposed to be a god now. But here's where I'm going to argue against myself. This is the action scene to end this movie, right? Like, you have to have this kind of kung fu back and forth fight scene. You wouldn't want to see Blade fighting a big cloud of blood or something.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm going to say that it might not actually make sense narratively, or it might be a little easy narratively.
Also, you might be able to say that it's a conscious choice he's making because he wants it to sort of be a fair fight, on his terms. Yeah, or not his terms, but on his level. He wants to toy with him.
Yeah,
maybe. I don't know if that's too much of a reach, but
it works for the ending of this film. Like, it doesn't bother me like it did when I was younger.
I was asking for a second if he was possessed by a god. He's not possessed by a god. So, like, this is still him.
No, he's possessed by a guy. He's got the blood eyes, right? Yeah, that was a cool shot.
Well, yeah, but that's what I'm asking you. Is it possession or is it a merger or what is it?
I don't know.
Okay.
He says, "I will become a god."
Yeah, but that doesn't mean there's that line, skate uphill. But becoming a god is different from a god taking over your body.
Yeah.
And he calls back to a line he said earlier, and so, like, I don't think it's just a god in his head. I think he's still Deacon Frost. Oh my god.
I don't remember that.
That's just disgusting and crazy. See, they were smarter there because they backed it off.
Yep. And I would not have been able to handle that as a child.
You mean you wouldn't have gotten used to it? You wouldn't have adjusted to, we do, like, poofy heads and then blow them up.
I never thought about this. Is it weird that we go real science fiction-y virus vampires and then we have blood gods? Is that weird?
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's a problem, but, like, that's real.
I mean, it's fine to have science and magic in a universe.
It's weird that we make this big deal out of we're being science really creative
vampires. about like how exactly all that stuff works, and rooting it, as much in reality as possible. And
it never gets that big again. I mean, Dracula's a little bit like that, but not as much. And 2 is.
To be fair, though, we are dealing with hieroglyphs from the beginning, so you might expect, and that's why I didn't even think of it, like, you might expect some kind of supernatural force with that. Mm-hmm. That it's going to be celestial or...
I'm not saying it doesn't work, I'm just saying it's interesting that this is a movie that does science vampires and then caps that off with...
It seems a little counterintuitive.
Yeah.
But somehow or other it integrates in,
And maybe that ending would work better if it was...
I am so in love with the closing shot of this movie.
If it was just that he was going to release a virus that would turn everyone, as opposed to this big ritual, and then you're not concerned about the fight. It's not that he's a god, and why is he not that much more powerful? And
the Shredder theme is still in this soundtrack.
I think those two people are somebody.
That movie really should have trademarked those 3 notes so that anytime somebody wanted to use it in the movie, bum bum bum, they would get paid. This shot we get of him at the end is the thing that made me call this the most comic book looking movie I had seen to date.
That's great.
It's just great. And that's a thing he's been doing a lot, where like he doesn't make eye contact with things.
Yeah.
Until he's ready to. It's real theatrical. I just love that.
It's real good.
I love that it gets an epilogue like that. That's so cool.
And
we could have left it.
Too.
We could have left it where we left it.
Yep. Udo Kier, that's that guy's name. The creepy vampire lord guy. That's Udo Kier. I'm pretty sure Udo Kier is a vampire. He has the perfect vampire name. He's real creepy looking. I'm pretty sure he's Transylvanian. He's not Transylvanian.
I think part of why...
But he's European of some kind.
I think part of why I love that ending so much is because it feels serialized like a comic book, too.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Blade
like
will have more adventures.
Yeah. And it's not even setting up the next thing. It's not a cliffhanger.
No. It's just...
It could have been a cliff, but it's not. It's just... And he's going to keep...
Yeah.
And he says, there's still a war and I have a job to do.
Yeah.
And then we see him doing that, and I also like him traveling.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, that's really cool.
And Moscow is where we're gonna go for the next one, or I think it's Moscow.
Is it?
Yeah.
I just don't remember.
We go to Russia. We go to another country in the second one.
That's where Moscow is.
Yeah, yeah.
So.
No, I didn't. I think Russia is the country he goes to. It might not be Moscow specifically, but I think Russia is where we are next movie. We're somewhere where it's snowing a lot, I think.
That last half hour moves at quite a clip.
Yeah.
That does not feel like a half hour.
Mm-mm.
But it is a slog from the 15 minutes before that to that point. Like, that 15 minutes feels like half an hour. And then that last half an hour feels like 10 minutes.
Yep. I think you cut the zombie stuff and you cut the mom stuff. That's all shorter.
This is one of those rare movies where you could really... And I don't think you would have to give us a lot extra to explain anything, right? Like,
no.
You really could just make some... This is one of those rare movies where you can make it a better movie by just chopping some things out of it.
Yeah, just trimming a little bit. And really all at that end bit.
It never feels like there's anything missing.
Yeah.
Like there's scenes on the cutting room floor that need to be put back in the movie. It's a real tight thing.
Yeah.
Except for that stuff. And I think that's where, like, character stuff is supposed to be happening, but...
Yeah. Well, and we go back to, like, cutting back to his memory of his pregnant mother in the hospital.
It's so weird, yeah.
It's not great. But otherwise, this movie holds up really well.
Yeah, I mean, it's supposed to be conflicted identity stuff. Is he a human? Is he a vampire? Like, and nature nurture stuff. Like,
but
am I an animal? Can I or can I be more than the sum of my parts?
But you don't need any of that. Because all you need...
It's already there.
Well, and all you really need as the, like, pin in that, or the, like, drawing a line under it, is him feeding on her and able to stop before he kills her.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
Mm-hmm. Because that's him making a choice.
Yeah. But, you know, this movie holds up remarkably well.
It is really watchable.
Yeah. We should watch this again, like, around Halloween.
This would be a really good Halloween movie.
Yeah.
I don't love that third act over the rest of it.
Mm-hmm.
It does get, and I mean, like, I'm praising it for being so comic booky, so this is going to sound maybe a little bit hypocritical, but, like, it's a little too conventional at the end, I think. I don't know, like comic book movie, but then part of that's because of all the stuff that came after it.
Mm. It has to get big at the end.
Maybe it wouldn't have felt so much that way. And I mean, like, I don't want to say that stuff wouldn't have also looked a little bit standard and cliche at the time, because even though you haven't had a lot of movies based on comic books, you have a lot of action movies that have that same kind of formula.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we don't just get big and have a big giant climactic fight scene on, like, something you could fall off of, or somebody trying to become a god or whatever. Like just because of comic books.
Mm-hmm.
That gets into comic book movies because they're action-driven things.
Yeah. And it's real fun action.
Yeah.
In the same way that The Matrix is real fun action.
And I would make the argument that it's entertaining in and out of context. Like, it's entertaining, like it's action that serves story for the most part.
Yeah.
But there are, I guess the point I'm making is there are action scenes in movies where if you just looked at them without knowing what the reason was you were seeing them,
They're still really
it's
cool.
not interesting.
Oh.
This is still, it's just cool.
Yeah.
And it manages to do both of those things, so it's a music video and it's serving the story.
Yeah.
It's a simple, it's not a real complicated story, so it's kind of easy to do that. But
Yeah. But it's fun.
That was really fun.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed that.
Yep.
Well, everybody, thanks so much for watching. We sure appreciate it, and we will see you again tomorrow. I want to see for X-Men.
X-Men.
Yeah, first X-Men movie.
Yeah.
I'm excited about that because that's a thing I haven't seen in a long time.
Same here.
And having had so many X-Men movies since the last time I actually sat down and watched that, there's all kinds of things I bet.
The last time I watched it,
that we'll find ourselves talking about that we would not have, that we couldn't have talked about before because we've had history.
The last time I watched it, the weirdest thing in that movie is how small and young Hugh Jackman is.
Yep, and it's weird because he's still too tall, but he almost works as the scrappy Wolverine.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're not thinking of him as a giant built Wolverine, and then they make him that.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, thanks again, folks. Sure appreciate it, and we'll see you again tomorrow for X-Men. I'm Captain Logan.
I'm Eric.